What's going on, everybody? It's Gribbers here. Today we're going to go ahead and take a look at the calling it quits scenario in a Madden 22 franchise. This past year of Madden 22, they did a couple of things to try to improve franchise. I found them to be mostly helpful, but they give you a lot more of these scenarios per se. Some of them are negative, some of them are positive. You can get some bonus XP. You could lose some skills, a couple of things like that. So it's very interesting, but there's this specific one here that I found. It's called Locker Room Calling It Quits. And basically what we're going to go ahead and do is showcase two examples of how to approach this scenario. And at the end, I'm going to go ahead and tell you what I think you should personally do with this exact scenario. So we are the Bears here. It is week 4. Our record is 1-2 on the season. So we're going to go ahead and click on the scenario here, kind of see what it has to say. So basically, Khalil Mack is approaching the coach here. Hey, coach, I feel like my heart just hasn't been in the game lately. I'm thinking about hanging up the cleats. Got any advice? So you can either convince him to stay or let him retire. So I'm going to go ahead and click on convince him to stay. Coach says, I need you, man. We need you out there. 70-80% of you is better than a ton of players. Khalil Mack responds with, I guess so. Don't want to let the team down. I'll be okay. But if my heart isn't in it and we're losing, I'm out, coach. So Khalil Mack doesn't have this heart in the game, resulting in a significant hit to his ratings. Winning will keep him around, while losing streak could lead to his retirement. So a player like Khalil Mack could just get up and retire in the middle of the season here in your franchise. Honestly, that's kind of nuts. So I'm not really very fond of this scenario. But we'll go ahead and take a Khalil Mack here in the roster real quick, just to kind of showcase why you definitely would not want to lose him. There's only one positive thing I could ever say about that is, if you look at him here, he's 30 years old, so he's still playable. Skip this real quick. Apologize about that. So he's a 91 overall with -3 to his rating. So he's actually a 94 overall, which is really good in this game. He's a left outside linebacker. He's the number 2 ranked left tackle, as you can see, top 2%. So he's an amazing talent. You definitely want him on your team. The only positive I can see to letting him quote unquote retire would be that you would recover some of the money. His contract here, if you were to just cut him outright, release him, you'd get a $34 million penalty with barely any savings. But if they do get up and retire, the salary for the seasons will disappear since they retired on their own terms. You'd still have to eat that signing bonus that this contract's built into, but that's literally the only positive I can see to that, is you would gain a little bit of money back, but it's definitely not worth it here for a player of Khalil Mack's caliber. So as he said, if we win, I'm going to stick around. If we lose, I'm out. I'm going to retire. So for this example here, we're actually going to force some losses and make Khalil Mack retire. So I am the Bears here, so we currently have a home game coming up, so I'm going to force a win for the away. Same thing here with the away team, force a home win, etc., etc. It'll probably only take a couple of games, probably 2 or 3, and Khalil Mack will approach us and tell us what's going on. So let's go ahead and sim here the week. So again, we are forcing losses intentionally here just to see how Khalil Mack's going to react here. So nothing here for Khalil Mack. We have a QB1 check-in, but that's not relevant to him. So it's going to take more than 1 week for him to make a decision here. So we're going to go ahead and skip through this real quick. We're going to advance the week one more time. So 1 week did not do it for Khalil Mack. Let's see if 2 does it. Looks like he's still on our team. 2 losses did not do it. None of these here at the top deal with Khalil Mack, so we're going to go and skip them real quick. I would imagine with a 3rd loss in a row, he's probably going to retire. So I expect after this advance of the week, Khalil Mack's going to approach us here with the calling it quits scenario. And he's therefore going to walk away. That's my prediction, at least. We're going to go ahead and sim the week here. Apparently, Khalil Mack is still on the team. We've lost 3 straight games, but he hasn't called it quits quite yet. I'm kind of surprised. But hopefully here by the 4th game, not hopefully, but for this scenario at least, that he will retire. That's what we're looking for. We're looking for him to go ahead and take himself out here. And again, we are forcing losses intentionally just to kind of showcase this. Going to go ahead and advance the week again. And still nothing from Khalil Mack. So we're going to go ahead and check on the roster real quick, just to kind of see if he's even still on here. He is still on the team, so he hasn't retired yet, but we are losing games. That's 4 losses in a row there. So we're going to go advance one more time. I really, really hope that this is going to work out here. And there is this scenario here. So we're back here. We have the calling it quits scenario. We're in week 9, which means we played 8 full weeks here. This scenario did pop up in week 4. So we forced a loss for week 4, week 5, week 6, week 7, and week 8, which is a whole 5 weeks of gameplay. So about a month or so. And Khalil Mack is now going to approach us. We're going to take a look at it here. Let's see what he has to say. Hey, Coach, I know we talked about making this work, but I'm just not feeling it. I've given a lot of thought, and I've decided I'm officially calling it quits. So Khalil Mack actually is going to go ahead and get up and retire here. Coach pretty much comes back and says, hey, I know it was going to be tough, but, we tried our best. Best of luck, man. So Khalil Mack has announced his retirement. He will no longer be on your squad or applicable at all. He just got up and left. So that's going to be scenario 1 here. If you do get this calling it quits scenario and you go on a losing streak there, your player will literally get up and retire and leave. So just to kind of go ahead and show it here, we're going to go ahead and check out our roster again. Khalil Mack will not be there. And there it is. Khalil Mack was our best player overall. Now it's Roquan because Khalil Mack literally called it quits in the middle of the season. So that's going to be scenario 1. Let's go ahead and take a look at scenario 2 here. We do have a separate franchise for that. We're going to go and take a look at the 49ers here. So for the 49ers, we're going to do the same exact thing, except we're going to force wins. So we have the same scenario here, calling it quits. It is in week 4 again, so it seems to be a common theme here, week 4. I guess you could let him retire, but I'm not trying to do that, so we're going to try to convince him to stay. If you hit let him retire, he's just going to walk away instantly, so it's not what we're looking for. We're going to try to convince him to stay. Trent Williams is one of the best left tackles out there. You definitely want to keep him on the squad. So just like the Bears, except the opposite here, we do have a couple of forced wins already set on this schedule. It took 5 forced losses for this scenario to play out here. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 results here already forced ahead of time. So it'll definitely take less than 7 games. I would imagine 5, since that's what Khalil Mack was, but you never know. So let's go ahead and sim the week here. And again, we are forcing wins. So we did get a win there against the Seahawks. We're going to go ahead and sim the week again. Nothing there. So we're going to go ahead and sim the week again. This is a bye week, so it really doesn't count, to be honest, because there isn't a game to be played. So I'm still like counting this as 2 games. We've had 2 forced wins so far. I still haven't had this scenario open up again. Let's go ahead and advance the 3rd week here. It's going to be the 3rd forced win. Still nothing there from Trent Williams, and as you can see, comically actually, there is Khalil Mack on the screen because we are playing the Bears. This is a different franchise, so he did not call it quits on that franchise. He's still on that team, but this is a different one here with the 49ers. Nothing from Trent Williams yet. We've had 3 forced wins, so maybe this is a 5-week thing. Let's take a look at it here. We're going to go ahead and sim the week, go to week 4. And there it is. So after 4 forced wins, the calling it quits scenario is going to go ahead and pop back up. And I imagine that since we actually won these games, the Trent Williams is probably going to react and say, you know what, I'm going to stay in the team. You know, I believe in us. Let's go win the Super Bowl, something to that degree. So let's go ahead and take a look at it here. Trent Williams says, hey, I've been feeling better recently. You know, not sure where I'd like to be as long as you're winning, but it shouldn't take long to get me there. Coach says, that's great. You know, I know you guys are still here. We'd be in a much worse spot if you were not here. Trying to show that he's valued here. So Trent Williams is not 100% yet, but is starting to feel more like himself. So he's on the mend. He's going up. Green. Good. So he's not going to go ahead and retire here. Regardless if he forced wins or losses or just left them up to chance or played the game yourself. Going on, Trent Williams would not retire. It doesn't matter how many games you win, how many you lose. Trent Williams would remain on your team throughout. He would not go anywhere here. So those are the 2 scenarios that you can do here with the calling it quits scenario. You could technically let them retire if you just scroll to the left there and hit let retire, but I don't recommend that. It doesn't really give you any benefit. So if you win games, your player's going to stick around. That's good. That's what you're looking for, probably in 9 out of 10 scenarios, if not 10 out of 10. If you did lose games, conversely, we lost 5 in a row, Khalil Mack said, you know what, I'm out of here. So that's how you can approach that scenario, but I'm going to go ahead and give you a bonus tip here of what I would do with this scenario. We're going to have a separate franchise with the Buccaneers here. So we are Bruce Arians. We do have this scenario again, and also, just like the other 2, it happened to be in week 4. The Buccaneers are 0-3, so somebody's a little bit upset here in the locker room. Somebody's trying to call it quits. So what I'm going to highly recommend here doing is don't even open this scenario. And that may sound a little bit weird, but if you don't open the scenario, it won't trigger it. So if you go ahead and just advance the week, you sim the week, that scenario is not even going to be there. It's just going to disappear. So it wouldn't matter going forward how many games you won, how many you lost. You know, maybe you have a brutal schedule coming up. You know, maybe you're not the best player in your league. Maybe you're playing against 31 other users, and they're all really good. Maybe you just play the Rams, and you play the Bengals, you play the Chiefs and the Packers coming up here in your schedule. Those are tough teams. So if you could lose games, you definitely don't want to lose that player. So rather than opening up this scenario, just ignore it. Don't even open it. We're going to go ahead and sim the week here. And that scenario here of calling it quits here with the Buccaneers, you can see it's just going to disappear. It's going to be gone. Let's go ahead and sim the week. So we're in week 5 here, and this scenario is actually still there. So we're going to go ahead and try the sim week again. And it is gone. So we did simulate 2 weeks here, and the calling it quits scenario, whoever the player was, I don't even know. It's totally gone. I did see in the background here that we are now 2-3. So we did win those other 2 games that we just simulated. They were not forced. Let's go ahead and look at the schedule here real quick. They were not forced either way, to my recollection at least. Let's just go ahead and verify that. Yeah, we forced the first 3 to go ahead and trigger an 0-3 start, but as soon as that situation triggered here, we stopped forcing games, and there is no forced win against the Patriots, no forced win against the Dolphins, and everything else for the rest of the way was left up to chance. But if you don't open up this scenario, and you just go ahead and sim the week, it only took me 2 weeks, but that scenario was completely gone. So you don't even have to go ahead and go into it. Maybe Tom Brady wanted to retire. That would have been traumatic if I lost a bunch of games. Maybe Vita Vea wanted to leave. Or maybe Mike Evans is like, you know what, we're losing games, I'm out of here. You don't want to lose Mike Evans. You got to keep him. So those are the couple of scenarios we have here with the calling it quits scenario. If you do go ahead and click on the scenario, you can either win games with your player or you can lose games, your choice there, or leave it up to chance. If you do continue to win games, your player is going to recover. They're going to stay on your team. That is good. If you end up going on a losing streak, like I did with the Bears and Khalil Mack, he's just going to get up and retire, and that is definitely sad. But what I'm going to recommend here was the final one with the Buccaneers. Don't even open that scenario. Everything else here is great. We got a breakout here, as I can see. You get bonus XP with stuff like short week and other scenarios, but the calling it quits one, it's just one that I don't like. It's new here to Madden 22. I highly imagine it's going to be in Madden 23. Trying to make things a little bit more difficult because, players have retired mid-season. It is a real thing. It doesn't happen often, but, it did happen in these couple of franchise issues. So I'm going to recommend totally disregarding it. Don't open it up, and you're going to be okay. So if you did find this information helpful here, please make sure to like and subscribe for more content. We'll catch you guys in the next video. Thanks for watching.